last night. There's a lot of action going on here in Arizona, okay? There's 2 separate tournaments going on with a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, a lot of parts going on here in Arizona. What that means is that I have to have that door open and my young men here prepared that when they come through, they're on their own time schedule. I mean, if they, sometimes these guys, young coaches, could be watching the game and then say, oh, listen, we're taking the rest of the day off and take a swim. That's their schedule. We're still going to do what we have to do, okay? But at the same time, I want to be prepared and over the stuff that I want to get done so these guys can play. We will have that on film. Let me explain something. This is probably one of the most difficult times in basketball around the country, except for the NBA, who has the finances to manage this COVID and pandemic and all the things that are going on. For instance, there are conferences that have completed their season. NAI, NCAA, Division II have completed their season. Coaches I deal with in the Pac-West, Northeast Conference, Frontier Conference, GSAC, your own Arizona Christian is in that GSAC. They're done. The CalPAC, several of those coaches are done. You have them right here, Benedictine, Ottawa, Embry-Riddle, or also NAIA schools. And I'll explain those schools to you. They're all here in Arizona. In California, they discontinued Division II state basketball. There is none. But they ran the Pac-West, they ran the GSAC. Just recently, last week, the Northeast Conference in Oregon, a lot of those schools that I deal with, have decided that they're going to have a season. Okay, so that's Division III. Your more prestigious schools in Oregon are going to have a season. What they've been trying to do is keep those kids safe, tested, so that they can play. Now, does that mean they're going to get through a season? No, it doesn't. Because if you look, if you kept up with it, if you know anything about it, you could be playing against Idaho College, and the coach says, I'm sorry you can't come. We've tested everybody, and we've got one kid that came back positive. Sorry, we can't play. That's happened all year long. So when you look at the Final Four, please do not be misled. Syracuse University, some of the bigger universities, they have the funds to be able to keep these kids almost as closely monitored as the NBA. Okay? So there's a lot of money going, but again, if they did not have a season, the NCAA would have lost a lot of revenue, and they weren't willing to do so. On top of that, there is a whiteboard in everybody's office. That whiteboard consists of point guards, forwards, center, swing, guys that are coming off. They have it all on their whiteboard. Well, under normal circumstances, you begin to say, okay, these guys are not returning, he's graduating, he's transferring. The NCAA has ordered that each team can bring back every play without any penalty. So that means for coaches, they're not running around trying to scramble to see what players they can bring in unless they heard Johnny say, hey, I'm not coming back next year. I want to pursue my master's degree, or I'm going to play basketball abroad, or I'm going to do something. I want to be a pro. Okay, that's factual. Now, when it comes to what we do or what I do in terms of colleges, most of you sitting here right now know me personally because you've been around me for more than, if not a year or more, 6 months to a year or even more. I can call any coach in the country and speak on your behalf if you can play at that level. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to fabricate, I'm going to tell them just how it is, okay, if you can play at that level. And I can call that coach, and if I don't know him, okay, he's going to call me back in 24, 48 hours after he looked to see who I am. And because of my credibility and my integrity and my character and what I believe in for these players, letting them believe in something bigger than themselves and follow a dream. Let's face it, period. I often get told, well, why? 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 Because this is not a business. This is not something I call you up and say, hey, listen, like the NCSA and some of those other organizations, hey, I need $2,500 to write up a resume, send out forms, and do all this for you. And basically that pile gets that big, and you're never dealing with the people here. You're dealing with that guy at the top who might be 6'8", 6'9", under-recruited or whatever. So I know the game, okay? I've had 4 sons and 3 daughters, okay, who all played high school and collegiately, so I understand how it goes. That's why I'm so passionate to support those who say, hey, coach, I just want a chance. I'm not going to an NBA, coach, but I just want to play. I enjoy playing. I have good grades. I think my parents can help me out with my schooling. I just want to play. Well, that's where I've been since my retirement. For those who don't know or new here, I played 18 seasons, okay? Both here in America and the NBA, bounced around from different clubs to over Europe for 15 years. And I'm not tooting my own horn because it means nothing. At 60 years old, I'm old, okay? And it doesn't mean anything about what I did. It's not about me. Even though I have the accolades, you can test me on anything when it comes to this game between the back, because I did it. College All-American, did it all. But all I care about today is every young person that comes to that door and says, coach, I just want a chance. Period. And I'll challenge any coach in the country, high school, middle school, it doesn't matter, in terms of saying, well, I think this kid is this, and he's going to the NBA, and he's this. No, I'll challenge him. Because in between these 2 baskets, I can see where you can play, if it's going to be a challenge, or, hey, listen, I'm just going to work my butt off and get you in the door. The rest is up to you. That's what it is to me. As you can see, these guys, just so you know, I did not sign a contract with Nike purposely, but you see everybody's outfitted with Nike. Okay? Some shoes, I give out shoes. Thank God for my beautiful wife of 30 years. My anniversary is next week. Excited about that. I'm glad it's not this week, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be standing here. But it's a ministry. We're giving back. We want you to look sharp, but also prepare you mentally. Mentally, because when you go to college, I said it last week in Sacramento, you got your bag. All that's in your bag is your practice gear and your sneaks and ready to go. You can't forget that stuff. And your sneaks, you can't forget that stuff. You gotta have it all. Traveling. On the, oh man, I forgot my jersey. Oh, I forgot my practice gear. Not accepted. So I challenge some of the players today to come with their jersey. Don't worry about jersey, but bring your shorts and sneakers. And I see everybody did so. I challenge them. I'll challenge them as we go through the day. Let me explain something to you. One thing, you can't think something, and most of you parents that know me know what I stand for. I shoot it right from the hip. We're sitting here today, 2021 grad. We just found out last week, as I just explained to Mr. James here, that California is trying to salvage a season, April 15th to the end of May. 2 games a week. So you might get in 6 to 8 games. Football's going on now. So there'll be a small overlap that you'll wait on the football players that want to play basketball to give those kids something. And that's been changed 3 or 4 times over the last several months, because I have someone that sits on the board at the CIF and knows firsthand. But now if you're sitting here and you're saying, well, I'm a 2021 or 22 grad, I'm still looking to go somewhere, pretty tough. It really is. Why? Because look at the time span. This recruiting process is a process. It's 6 to 10 month process. Figuring out, how many times have I been on the phone with some of the parents here? Financial aid, FAFSA, admissions, GPA, test scores. All that stuff is a process. And then it's visiting campus, visiting coaches, meeting the players. But we haven't been able to do those things because of the pandemic. But some of my players sitting here have had that contact over the last 90, 120 days. So they're in that process. Division I we know is scholarship, period. 12 scholarships, there's not much question between that. When you hear, oh, Johnny over here walked on, he went to my school, I know him, he's my best friend, we grew up together, he was a walk-on at a Division I school. Let me explain something to you. That walk-on player is a kid that they just said, we don't have a scholarship, but we're willing to pay you, maybe in a year or two, we might have those finances. But if you really want to come, we're going to guarantee you that spot. That's it. Cut and dry. Division II, scholarship, 12. Also, you can get some walk-on guys. But Division II, you get a little bit more creative because you can have an FA kid, a kid who says, hey, listen, my parents, through the pandemic, our business has been down and money's a little different now. You fill out the FAFSA and it comes back with a smaller EFC, so you get an opportunity to maybe go to a school, a D2 school, and it doesn't cost much. Because I hear kids, oh wow, Johnny's going over here, let's say California, to some of those CSU schools. Doesn't cost much. So it's okay for a coach to say, hey, listen, let's waive his tuition or let's give him, it doesn't cost much. But I'm going to be honest with you, that's a different environment in the state schools. They're bigger, they're larger. The student ratio is tougher on a kid that says, hey, listen, I come from a small high school, I'm used to a 1 to 10 ratio, and then all of a sudden I go to school with, 25,000. We've had this conversation. I had it with John just this week. You go to some of these schools and it's got 25, 35,000 students, where now you go to a quaint school that might have 15,000 students or 20,000 students. I mean, come on, you go over to ASU. My son was recruited there. We walked around there, football and basketball. My goodness, it's like a village in itself. So you have to understand exactly what you look. Division III, to me, kid says, hey coach, I love basketball, but at the end of the day, I know I want to get a good engineering degree. I want to succeed at bio, or chemistry, or math, or economics, or something of that nature. Division III is the place to go. And I hear some kids go, look, coach, Division III, come on. I'm a scholarship guy. Well, you got to be reality-based as well. Yes, $60,000 is usually the ticket price. Okay, that's room and board and everything. And I haven't made myself really clear until this past week speaking with John in terms of when you're looking at those particular schools, let's face it, if your son stays home, he's going to eat, and you're going to keep a roof over his head, whether you pay a mortgage, rent, whatever you do. So when I'm talking to parents, room and board is something that you just got to calculate that. You really got to calculate as being separate. Cost of attendance. What does it cost for my Johnny to go to school? Books and tuition. If you're a bright kid, and that's most of the guys sitting there, some pretty bright kids, and you get $25,000 towards tuition on a presidential scholarship at that school, whatever merit money they have. To me, if I cut that tuition in half, let's say, so now maybe let's say tuition is 20 or the high teens, room and board, and I had this discussion yesterday with a coach, and he said, wow, Dan, you hit it right on the head, is that after your first year, you start meeting players and you start finding your way around. You might say to dad or mom, hey, look, me and my buddy, a couple buddies, we're going to get a house off campus. We're going to split the room and rent, food or whatever. It's just a lot cheaper, mom, dad. Okay? That's what we're going to do. But you're mature enough as a sophomore to do so. So the money does change after that first year. Something that is real important. I hear some folks talk about JCs. I have one of the best JC coaches here with me. I love him to death. But I also say to parents, when you talk about JCs, there's a level of maturity that you have to have. We spoke last week in Sacramento, and he's been pretty verbal about the fact that he's educated me that they live on their own, making their own meals. They got to get the practice, get the games. We try to give them all the gear and all those good things, but you know, we have to babysit pretty strongly with those kids, and they do come lower GPA. Maybe been on their own for 2 or 3 years. So you take one of, and I presented this question last week, and I said, hey coach, I got one of my kids here, 4.0, good test scores, comes from good stock, dad's engineering, he wants to do an engineering degree. Those who were sitting there last week were kind of listening to him. He was stuck. And I say that in a very, very good way. Mooney, 4.0 and all that, even though he's a good basketball player. Because that particular kid realizes that he should be at a 4-year university, getting his education. Maturely, socially, academically, athletically, the JC route is not a bad route, but it's just not for everybody. And when someone says, oh, I'm going over to JC, I'm going to get strong, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to grow a little bit, I'm going to get better, I look at them and I say, are they interested? Have they spoken to you over the year? And are you just kind of hanging around as a last resort? I ask all these questions, and I know what 99.9% of the individuals I deal with, or the players I deal with, are good students first. We have to understand that. I'm sure you parents who all work and know, let's face it, education is number one. Number one. Because these ladies can go out, but you can't take that piece of paper away. I am so proud and I get excited. I got to give you this. I'm in the airport on my way here, and I'm sitting with one of my guys, right? And I asked him, take your mask down a little bit for that. I asked him, it's about that thick. And I asked him, well, what are you reading? What did you say you were reading? He said he was reading a book about astrophysics. I was speechless. I was sitting there with my daughter. I was speechless. I even commented on yesterday. We're driving in my car, and I said, "You like to read?" Yeah, Coach. When it's interesting, and I like to read. And I got a lot of you sitting there. That excites me, parents, and I'm sure it excites you when your son achieves in the classroom. Quite frankly, I gotta confess, I wasn't that type of student. I really wasn't. Inner city New York, who's talking about reading books and doing good in the classroom versus, man, if you don't make it to baseball, basketball, football, it's like, you're gonna be. And I worked at this to perfection because it's all I had. And today, I'm excited when I hear them speak about it. When I hear my wife, who's in the master's in mental health counseling, my youngest, at 27 years old, was all-state, first team, ESPN Top 100 football and basketball, stopped playing basketball, who was teammate with Cal Kuzma, you've heard it before, says, I don't even want to play basketball anymore. He was La Jolla Prep. I don't even want to play anymore basketball. I'm going to go to football. And then goes Division I football, and then tells the Rams, you know what, I'm not coming to your rookie camp because I'm going to go get my master's degree, but I'm going to complete my master's degree, and then I'm going to become a parole officer. And he gets sworn in about 2 or 3 weeks. Government job. That just blows me away. With that ability and that talent to play, either here internationally or domestic, he can play anywhere. And says, no, you know what? I'm going to get my education and work with people, Dad, like your mom done for years. Wow. And that's why I see all you guys. So don't take it lightly. Education is number one, then athletics, then socially, then don't forget, the most important one is family. Okay? Today, parents will go do some skill development stuff, very important. You might think your son knows the game of basketball, and that's great. We all think highly of our kids, but it takes me a couple minutes, my coaches, to see where we're at. Footwork, releasing of the shot, getting up and down the floor, size, weight, all those kind of things come into play. We're going to play as much as we can. I'm going to even emphasize maybe a little bit more playing because, again, I've committed to coaches that want to walk through the door today that they'll be able to see some playing as well. So my schedule can change. I'm going to be flexible to what they want to see. That's not a problem for me. But I want you to have a clear picture. I can't thank you families that have gotten on planes to be here to support your son, but also what we're doing. This is actually, next weekend will be probably the last weekend for California players. Okay? Basically, it'll be almost the last weekend because as we are in LA next week, Saturday, April and May is going to be pretty much practicing to prepare a season with 4 to 6 games. And then June is right there. So can we wait till June or you play your high school games and think that, I'll get an offer? No, that's not going to happen. Okay? I have scholarships right in my pocket right now, Division I and Division II. Okay? Hands down. Division III, I've got a lot of coaches that are looking for some good kids. They got some merit money and they can support and help. That's going to be up to you. And you can say, you know what? I'm just going to go to school and get my education. That's fine. But if you want to play a little basketball and get your education and have a good experience, we always think high school friends are the ones that you'll know forever. It's not really high school. High school guys and girls, they move away. It's the college people you meet. You go to their weddings and you watch them have children and you go on vacation together. Those are the people that you meet when you go to college. Okay? Any questions? I mean, John, I know Matt, and Danielle, and I see I know George up there, and Mike and his wife, and got Norris there, and Sensei, I know, haven't seen your face. Do you have any questions? Any questions or you might have any questions that you might have heard or thought or ideas about this whole recruiting thing? Please, this process is very, very important to me because I want you to have a clear. If I tell you how much my phone rings about parents who are a little disgusted. I spent all this money. I went to Vegas and I've done this and I did all the right things and we have nothing. We're up empty-handed. The AU scene, let me explain something. It's going big. Arizona has been huge over the last several months. I've got an analysis here, okay, who writes up. He's written me 3 times already since I've been here. He's from California. He's an older guy who does all the analysis for California, Washington, and sends it out, the rating. He does it all. He's here, okay? And he's come down here 16 times. AU basketball, if you're with a program that has a sneaker contract and they've been around and they're recognized by colleges around the country, sure, it's a lot easier. The mom pause and just say, hey, look, we just want to play some basketball and travel and have a name we're from Redwood City or something like that. I mean, it's fun, it's great. I'm so happy that you can play basketball all year round, but it's not the ticket. I don't care who you are. Because at the end of the day, you have to call that high school coach and say, hey, bud, how you doing? I'm interested in your kid. Does he fit the culture? Does he have the grades? Now, he might ask you, a college coach, hey, what AAU program you play for? Well, I play for Johnny's Bears. Huh? It's not a recognized program. So it's not a bad thing, but I warn folks not to put some emphasis. I hear parents tell me, shoot, we're just going to play club. We're going to play AAU. My AAU coach told me. I get cringe because it's not going to happen. Just as though everybody, you probably heard it, everybody thinks they can train kids. I played college basketball. I was a middle school coach. I know the game, and I can train, and I did that, and I get X amount of dollars each time. And that might be great. I'm not going to throw anybody underneath the bus. But I have one parent right now, love her to death, single parent family, kids getting trained. And he came in here a couple of weeks ago, or we were somewhere, I don't have to remember the city. And I just looked at it and I said, well, shucks, what are you guys doing in training? Because he came out here and I didn't see much of what's going on. She was pretty disgusted. Because I didn't see much. Show me. Show me. That's all. Show me. You can do it. Or what you're getting done. Who's helping? Who's explaining these things so that you get a fair opportunity. Fair opportunity. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But you have any questions, sir? Anything that you might think about, what you might have heard with your son in basketball?
No, I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying.
Ma'am, do you have something that might question?
He's a junior. When should we start applying for grants?
It's too late. Junior in high school. If you haven't started that process, to give you a timeline, my juniors right now that are part of my program, I've got to get that motor running, or I have gotten that motor running by November 1. I have to have 3 to 5 schools that are interested in those kids as seniors. With all the tangibles. That means checking all the boxes. You'll hear that word in the NBA, you'll hear that college, checking the boxes. Number 1, does he fit our culture? Does he have the grades? Does he have the test score? Then what's his background? Is his mom or dad or grandparents or the surrogate, whoever's in charge of life, is that screaming parent saying, my son's going to the NBA or this or that? If that's the case, oh, okay. I've seen coaches walk out. I was at a high school game this year. Before the COVID, the season, we're together. I have my assistant here with me. Okay, he's with me. We're watching the game. There's NBA guys in the gym watching kids play. 2 tough teams, recognized teams. Halftime, people got up and left. Folks came over to me and asked me questions. I'm telling you, if you're that, shoot, my son's going to UC, and you're yelling, and that and we love our kids. We do. We're going to do everything for our kids. Believe me, I understand. But at the same time, once they get to this level, it's almost like, I gotta let it go. I can't get myself all worked up and everything about he's not playing tonight, or he missed a shot and the coach is yelling from the sideline. And when I say it's too late, I talk to most of the coaches I spoke have told me, Dan, we're in the 23, 24, 25. Freshmen in high school right now. We rode on a plane with a 6'9" kid, a freshman. Big time school in California. He's down here this weekend. So, but again, to let you know there's hope, we'll know more after today about your son, where he stands basketball-wise. And then I ask the tough questions. Does he check the boxes? Is it impossible? No. But that's got to get going, especially for the mere fact that you're out of state. I want to come down here another 2 or 3 times with camp, hopefully in the spring, summer. If we don't have a high school, I took a high school job in a town that if you drive too fast, you'll pass it up. I'm not going to say this too loud because I tell you, my wife is ready to kill me and my sister ready to kill me. What the heck are you doing in what they call it, Melbourne? Well, Dad, it's great to have you here. When you play next weekend? I mean, I took a job to be a high school coach to support kids. And I volunteered last year on my own dime, and we lost in the States to the Final Four. With a team that ain't never seen no state tournament. Only because this is my passion. Period. I don't care what you say. This is what I enjoy. And I'm not looking for anything from you but one thing. Just give me strength, breath, to continue to do it as long as I can. And the best part about it, I got up this morning, Fidel, and I put on my own pants, put on my own clothes, brushed my own teeth. That's it. And those who know me know what I stand for. That's all. I put my own clothes on this morning. That's the blessing. So I'm going to give back, do all I can do to support you. If you check the boxes. So I'm with you. High school player. Some kids that play varsity they play JV as a junior. Some kids ain't never even played varsity basketball. I do the best I can. We'll see. You get an even shot today. Anybody else? Most of you have been around. We've been on the phone a zillion times. Hey, I got to shout out to not only all you guys are amazing, just because shoot, getting on the plane, Sebastian flying in, Miguel flying in with his mom, taking off work, Norris taking off work, Dave flying in, George, gotta be tired, but still he gets you everywhere he possibly can. Yanni, amazing, man. Coming to training, up and down the highways and the byways. I say rollers, guys, but I have to separate this because Darius, I tell you, played football last night, but I'm going to get on the plane this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you for having us.
That's what I strive for. That's what I work for. Who played football last night. And you know when you lose, you kind of, oh shoot, I ain't going, no, I ain't getting out of bed. That's, come on now, you know what happens when you lose. And I know he's sore and aching when he gets here. Like all the rest of these kids have gotten here. And not to take anything from you guys from Arizona, but they don't know what they're missing. Because you're going to get something today they ain't never seen before, to be prepared and hope that you can do something special. Malcolm, thank you for being here. You didn't get your name? Who you did tell me your name? Huh? Michael, thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. What's your name?
Mateen.
Huh?
Mateen.
Mateen, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys coming out. Parents, you can go get coffee and do whatever you have to do and sit there all day if you want. That's totally up to you. We want to finish up. I mean, shucks, I say 3 o'clock, but if you're in the gym about 2:15, 2:30, that'd be great. But we're going to get started here. We'll get it done. And then we got to take off, and I'm sure you want to finish out the rest of it. We got one more. I know Arizona, a lot of people from Arizona come over to California. I know it's expensive. I know traveling, hotels. I get it. But next weekend, we're in the LA area. I did something a little bit different for folks, so I don't know if it's the right thing. But what I did, George, and some of those parents who've been with me, is I made it 8 o'clock in the morning next Saturday to know that we're done at 1, the 5 hours I need, but it kind of gives you a window to enjoy the rest of your day But if you want to get home, you know that you can get through the daytime and get home. So it's 8 a.m. to 1 o'clock. Now I know it's kind of early, but you know what? I'm creative like that because that's what college is about. You might get a notice that night when the practice. Oh gosh, tomorrow morning we 6 a.m. We 5 a.m. It happens. So those things happen. Okay? We'll be here all day. Mars, my assistant right here, man, the guy that does everything behind the scenes, everything for me, travels around, has a son with us who has to put up with both of us. Okay? He ready to trade us in. I need a new dad, a new coach. This too much. Because he's carrying, I got my bag and I got their bag. Thank you. My coaches here today are Robbie and Zoram from Utah. These guys fly in, they get here, they drove over. Robbie gets up here and he's called from LA. And thank my daughter there. She's been in more arenas than you can count on your hand. And been following this basketball for a long time. Bless her heart, she's still my biggest fan. You can't leave out the real boss of this whole thing, the CEO of this whole thing, the person who has watched me do this over, 30, 40 plus years, who encouraged me to branch off to do just more. We can do more. We can do more for these young people and the homeless. We got a big homeless crisis and food banks. I mean, we've got passion to do a lot of different things. And she's there, up and down, and have to put up with me. I'm telling you, she's an amazing individual. Like I said, we got.